Trump is going to destroy China. And let's talk about the betrayal of Jensen Huang. He flew to China right after we told him he can't sell his graphics processors in China. What the Sam hell is going on here? And you know what? At the same time, let's kick all these kids out of Harvard too. This is China Talk and Transistor Radio. Welcome on. I'm your host,
Dylan.
All right,
Paddle.
guys, I'm sorry. I'm Dylan.
Dylan Paddle. Dialogue Paddle. All right, we got Doug here eating wings. John's trying to keep cool. We're going to talk Huawei, H20s, Visas. What else? Oh, emerging market watch.
Just got to kick the Fed out. It's so simple.
All right,
Dude,
Huawei.
you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy? Like, there's all the conspiracies about the U.S. Fed, right? Like that they're like controlling the money supply and they're beholden to the Rothschilds and all this dumb shit, right? But no one talks about the French equivalent of the Fed literally controlling like 8 different countries' currencies and like forcing them to have deposits of gold in France and like fluctuating their currency with how they want it. Like, it's kind of crazy. I don't know. Do y'all know about this stuff?
Yes, I do.
What? The European Central Bank?
No, the French one. The French.
It's like a French-linked currency with like 8 African currencies, correct? Like former French colonies.
Right, but they like do fuck shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know about that.
Currency too
All right.
small.
Anyways.
Sorry.
Dylan, Huawei. They got a new rack. Tell me about it.
How big is the rack?
Is it a
Dude,
B cup?
this
C
rack
cup, B
is
cup?
so big.
How big? Is it a C or
So
is it
I'm more of
Double
a B cup
Ds,
guy.
F
I'm gonna be
cups.
honest.
No.
Stop. We gotta stop.
Look at all this shit. This is
C and
terrible.
C and M?
You guys clearly
real.
don't know bras. You could
Okay, China Talk.
Wait,
have
sorry, we didn't
80%
run a
male
fucking
audience.
bra company.
Transistor Radio is 95. The reason why is because I cut out this misogynist bullshit. Dylan, what's up with Huawei's rack?
You cannot silence me. No, so Huawei has the Ascend 910B and C, right? It's the same chip, silicon-wise, but we've been saying, sort of banging on the drums about this for years now, right? Systems matter more than individual chips for AI workloads because systems are what's important, right? When we look at like, the 3-headed dragon that is NVIDIA, right? One of them is networking and systems, right? One of them is the chip, right? These are almost equivalent level things. So what Huawei has done is they've taken a 7-nanometer chip that is mostly produced at TSMC, some at SMIC, but mostly produced at TSMC, and taken that and put it into a system that, yes, it consumes more power, with more chips, but they've networked it together in such a way, they've cooled it, they've done all the networking, etc., in a way where the performance is actually going to be better than NVIDIA's GB200 and NVL72 rack, right? This is the new product that NVIDIA's shipping right now in mass production. It's the hottest stuff. It's what everyone wants. It's really good, right? To be clear, it's really good. And it's one rack that consumes 140 kilowatts. But Huawei has made this system that is, was it 12 or 15 racks, 16 racks? It's 16 racks of compute connected all together through optical fiber, through LPO transceivers, through I think 6,000 optical transceivers connecting the sends together, and yes, it consumes it consumes 550 kilowatts, right, versus 140 for NVIDIA, right? This is a huge step up in power, but also it brings to bear 2 to 3x the performance in memory and flops, right? And then when we talk about, hey, do you have the software to utilize it? Yes, Huawei's software is better than AMD's. They support JAX, they support Python, PyTorch as first-class citizens. They already support VLLM. There's a lot of software support that they've already built out publicly. And Huawei's engineers are cracked, right? Their software engineers are, arguably just as good as NVIDIA's. Maybe, that's not a doubt, right? Like you look at all the stuff that they've built over the years. So I think like, when you look at that, it's like, oh wow, Huawei has turned what is effectively like a big handicap on chips into, well, we'll use a lot more power, right? We'll use 3x the power to achieve the same performance, but that's okay. right? Or 2x the power to achieve this, 2 to 3x to achieve the same performance. Well, that's okay because China can build power. U.S. doesn't like to build power, right? There's many reasons why, but which we can talk about later. But I think this is a very important thing to look at and to consider, right? Is that Huawei, through the use of Samsung HBM, TSMC wafers that they continue to receive, at least they continue to receive the Samsung wafers through this Faraday Coasia loophole with low temperature solder with through ASC's packaging. They still continue to receive HBM. And they've stockpiled a ton because the U.S. government telegraphed the bans on HBM for like 9 months instead of just doing it. And then they continue to receive wafers allegedly. We've heard this. I haven't been able to validate it, but I've heard this. So people need to look deeply into this. But they received over $500 million of wafers for just the Ascend alone last year. And they likely are. They could potentially, maybe not likely, but could potentially continue to still be receiving wafers from TSMC. And then furthermore, as SMIC continues to up their yields. Right? If they up their yields from as low as it is today to even a paltry 20%, they could make millions of Ascends, right? Because we continue to sell equipment, leading edge equipment to SMIC to produce wafers. We continue to sell leading edge equipment to CXMT to produce wafers. And yes, there's some restrictions against them, but actually those restrictions are neutered and there's loopholes. So between all these things, Huawei is going to be able to ramp production unless the U.S. government gets their shit together. Instead of banning the H20, they should have focused their attention on banning the equipment before they did the H20, because now they're just taking revenue out of NVIDIA and letting China still import. ASML just said, oh wow, well, China's buying a lot more high-end equipment than we expected, right? And they're just very recently. So there's a lot of issues going on with the government strategy. They're doing things backwards. Props to them for branding the H20. Maybe that is what's needed. But they got the order of operations completely wrong. And there's still a lot of loopholes that were left by the Biden administration. So the Trump administration has the chance to be tough on China in a way that the Biden administration kind of was, but really wasn't. If they want to, but they haven't done that yet. So we'll see if the Trump administration can decide to be tough on China, because the rhetoric is really tough, but the actions are weak. They laid off one of my favorite people in the NSC recently because Laura Loomer said that he was a deep state agent. This is not a joke. This is serious. Like, what the fuck? There's a lot of idiotic things that are happening, and I want the administration to do better. I think, happy to talk to them on what they need to do. Yeah, I'm done with my rant.
This is, just so you know, this is the most coherent, straightforward, put together, on topic rant we've had in 10, 20 episodes maybe. So he's back, brothers. He's back, and he wants to nuke China's semiconductor and AI ecosystem from orbit. Anyways, yeah. Oh, also I was going to say, not just ASML, going to add on that. All of the suppliers have been saying there's been incremental pull-ins on demand for semi-cap, specifically in China. I mean,
it's equipment, it's subsystems, it's
everything.
metrology equipment, especially, which is barely controlled. It's and completely a U.S. industry. There's chemicals that could be used to cut off SMIC, but they don't want to, or the Huawei associated fabs, but they won't. There's precursors for gases.
The amount of
there's consumables.
Maybe something I think people don't appreciate either is Huawei is vertically integrated. They're also Huawei. What's the company called? It's something. Is it something Carrier? Something. What's the name of the entity?
Carrier.
Yeah, Carrier. Yeah, they're pretty much just nuking the crap, even out of the Chinese domestic ecosystem. I think they're literally stealing Nara and Amex tools as well. There's a tool that they had that's side by side, identical to a Disco tool. We saw there's an identical KLA tool. They're just copying everything.
Let's be clear. The Side Carrier and Huawei bought what, $8 billion of equipment last year. They're literally just tearing down a fuckload of them, but also running wafers right next to them in their own tool and their tool, and calibrating and seeing how to improve, and just continually better and better and better. It's amazing how well they're doing this, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and what's crazy is Huawei and Microsoft, same number of employees.
Dude, pound for pound, Huawei is so much better than Microsoft. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh my God, Satya, what are you doing?
Well, Microsoft does make a lot more money, to be clear, but it's big org. And not only that, they're doing hardware, software. I mean, like 4 steps of hardware, networking. I mean, what is Huawei not doing well at? So yeah, Huawei, tariff. I mean,
Dude, they're
that's-
doing electric vehicles. Have you seen their
Oh
electric
yeah,
vehicle?
they're
It's
doing
fucking
electric
fire.
vehicles. Well, I think Jensen said this before that like Huawei is the AI company you need to be watching out for. I mean, dude, they're the big baddie. So, anyways, yeah, is that scary enough? Like we got a bigger dose. How do you feel about this, John? Or do you
We're
work
not
at
going to do
Huawei?
anything.
You're gonna work at Huawei already? Have you already put in your job application?
Wait, you know, John made the textiles for Huawei.
What?
The uniform for the cheerleaders designed by John himself.
Yeah.
The cheerleaders that go cheer up the engineers.
I think it was just like Huawei is like, I don't know how they deploy their engineering talent, but like they seem to, I mean, they invented 996 supposedly, right? So I know like they're
There was this guy on Twitter who was trolling so hard when he saw the Huawei thing. He was like, oh my God, Ian Buck is going to join Huawei. Oh my God, Jonah is joining Huawei. Jonah's the most cracked person at NVIDIA probably on an engineering level. He like leads like hardware engineering. He's like, oh my God, Sylvain is joining Huawei, like which is NVIDIA's like network software person, most cracked network software person. It was like very funny to be like, look, like all of these people at NVIDIA, they're actually just at Huawei because Huawei's shit is so good.
Wait, Doug, can you explain the vertical integration and what Carrier is
They make tools.
aiming to become?
They make tools. So they're like the applied material ASML, KLA like equivalent. But then Huawei also happens to own the entity of that makes the chips. Like, well, I mean, I think it's SMIC, but like very, very heavily involved. They're like the largest, you know, and they have like huge investments in, and they also are the biggest wafers out.
Well, they have an HBM fab that they're
Yep.
building, and they've
Yep.
bought a bunch of equipment for it. I think $2.5 billion worth already. At least that's what we saw last year. Probably more that they've circumvented. They have a leading edge 7 nanometer and 5 nanometer fab. They have a a new form of non-volatile memory, which should beat DRAM and NAND. Beat DRAM in cost, beat NAND in performance.
What was it called?
What
is
do
it
you
called?
mean? What are you talking about? Is this
Yeah,
ReRAM
yeah,
or
yeah.
something?
Which one?
No,
is
no,
this
no, it's
one?
not ReRAM. It's not.
What is it
ReRAM.
called? Tell me what it's called.
what is it?
Fuck,
Can you
I don't
stop
remember
at
the
the
type
cup?
of exact
It's
type of
annoying.
memory. Remember, because Lam classifies them in the non-volatile memory revenue category.
Yeah, I
can't
know what you're
remember
talking
the Fuck
about.
their name is. It's not CXMT. It's Swayshire. They're cracked. That's Huawei. There's advanced packaging Huawei fab. There is leading edge semi. There's HBM. There's all these different kinds of fabs that they've built that the U.S. government doesn't all consider Huawei. But if you fucking rub 2 brain cells, they're Huawei.
Yeah.
And it's not like oh, it's Huawei from the extent of like everything in China is because of civil military fusion one thing, right? Which is
No,
not the
they're just
case, right? But they're
cutouts.
like legitimately just Huawei.
Dylan, you got to stop with the cup.
What are you drinking?
Sorry. Oh, I'm mixing my
Creatine.
creatine and I'm drinking my.
Called that.
He's
shit.
creatine maxing, yeah.
Guys, 7.5 pounds of muscle gain this year.
Wow, I'm proud of you. I
take
probably lost that much muscle, dude. I'm bedridden. I'm a soy boy now, man.
Dude, are we gonna do a semi-analysis arm wrestling competition?
You'll win. You'll win right now.
No, I won't, bro. It's like fucking Chris will win.
Oh, in absolute terms, between you and me, Chris we'll both put both of our arms, and then Chris will beat both of us. Sorry, we have a really jacked coworker, but that's an aside.
All right. Anything else on Huawei?
They're really
So, like-
scary and really good, and they're better than.
So
the
I
United
think
States.
I think it's important to recognize what they did on the networking side as well, which was really cool, right? So they built their own switches, they built their own NVLink equivalent, basically, which is impressive on its own. But then on top of that, they built their own optical transceivers. By the way, every single optical transceiver that goes into a Google TPU pod is made in China by a Chinese company. Oh, by the way, every single half of the actually 70% of the optical transceivers that are NVIDIA are designed in China. and shipped to all these and most of them are built in China as well. And so like there's a big optical supply chain issue that America has that I don't know what's going on. But America needs to wake the fuck up. But anyway, sorry, China has their own optical supply chain, and it's really cool because what they've done is they've made they're the first to productize this technology called LPO. Doug and I have been banging our horns about this for a couple of years now. I think exactly 2 years now. But it's basically taking a optical transceiver and removing the most expensive chip and still being able to make it work. Everyone's scared to do this, or they want to do this, but they're scared to do this because it's
Also, they don't have
it's called the
incentives.
DSP.
They don't have incentives to do it either, right? Like the
It's
company
expensive.
Yeah.
It's cheaper. It's lower power. It's technically lower latency. But the problem is like it's like somewhat more unreliable. But if you just do good engineering, you can figure it out. And Huawei did. And Huawei did this before anyone in the West.
Also, one of the reasons why I think China crushes optics so much is because their margins suck. Optics margins are objectively bad. We're talking like teens, 20s, 30s, your best optics margin business. And so, United States, obviously, capitalism maxing is always.
Dude, we need to
pushing-
figure out how to get we need to figure out how to get a Huawei optic to see if they even use TIAs and drivers from America.
Oh, that's actually. I don't think they would use. Well, okay, even if they were designed in America, I think it would still end up being fabbed elsewhere, or like
No,
designed.
I mean, it would be just
can
obviously
design
it's fabbed elsewhere, but like.
I don't think they would have. Dude? They are so cracked on network, like on analog. Like, what's
Yeah, why would they use American TIAs?
yeah? Why would they use American TIAs? Yeah. So, anyways, maybe helpful because Dylan said this before, but I think you should like max on this. Pretty much, if you had no energy constraints, this is how you would design an MVL 384, right? They essentially copied the 276 design that didn't happen, and they went all optics. So they said screw copper. Copper is more power to price, performant, efficient, but if you just didn't care about price or power, and you had like a lot more power, and you also know you can make zero on the optics, you just scale up optics to a really, really large domain, and that's what they did. So it's pretty impressive. They played to their strengths. It's going to be a pretty beastly machine. So, yeah.
Who's buying this?
It's over. DeepSeek. You think I'm joking, but probably not. Why wouldn't DeepSeek
No, I'm
buy
sure
them
they
for
will.
inferencing?
Like the White House is
DeepSeek, Alibaba,
saying we're
I
apparently going to ban a fucking open source model. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
we're
what
gonna-
open source model?
They said they're going to ban
DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. They're somehow going to
Wait,
ban
what are you talking
DeepSeek from America. This came out of the White House.
This came out like last week or this week. They literally said DeepSeek is a tool to gather information for China, and they're going to ban it.
They're going to put malware on every computer in America to see if we've downloaded a Chinese model and throw me into El Salvador for running R1
Bro, they're not going to throw you
on my
down
new
somewhere.
anime GPU.
They should set up a great firewall, an American firewall, and then start censoring.
I mean, what we should just.
That's how
I
you
mean,
do it.
Honestly, though, like I don't see why we don't ban all Chinese software. They ban all of our software.
It's open source, though.
No, I know.
How do you
I'm just-
ban it?
I'm okay. No.
doesn't really
You can
mean
ban the
anything, though,
DeepSeek
right?
API. You cannot ban the model weights, right? Like the model weights ban is stupid. Also, I think you shouldn't ban it in general. I think that's kind of probably the wrong way to go about it.
yeah, if anything, you want to, I don't know, steal from them. Steal it. Steal the model weights. Change one weight to be different. Boom, you're good to go.
Well, their license is so permissive, you can literally just do that and call it your own model.
No, I know. I mean, it's kind of stupid, but to be clear,
I
it's
love
just-
in contrast to Meta's license, which is hilarious, right? Meta's license requires you to say "powered by Llama" on the website anywhere, or "powered by Meta Llama."
What if we Operation Paperclip Liang Wenfeng and just nationalize Meta and give him all of Meta's GPUs?
Sorry. What do you mean Operation Paperclip? I don't know what that means.
Paperclip, I thought, was like turning all of humanity and the whole world into paperclips.
No, this
because
is-
that's
this
what
is
AI
when we
is.
got
Paperclip is
Werner
the
von
not
Braun
the
to
post
make,
World War II where you got all the Nazi rocket scientists out.
He seems
make
like
our
he
eyes
cares.
emerald.
He seems like he. I don't think he.
Now,
I don't-
Jordan, now you listen here right quick. What you just said sounds like immigration. Sorry.
Okay, so what? Okay, well let's get to that then. Like, what can we pour one out for the American University Basic Research Talent Attraction?
Dude, wait, hold on. I literally went on a date with someone who's doing cognitive science stuff, and their grants are pulled, and they're like, fucked.
Whose phone?
Me.
Yeah, no, the grants are fucked. My favorite one is the Japanese PhD student guy. They're like 2 tickets, get out of here. It's okay. This is
Wait, what do you
literally-
mean 2 tickets?
He had some.
He got
park-
like a fishing permit wrong.
You got a fishing
And
permit.
and a speeding ticket from 2019 that he paid. Computer vision PhD, who's now on a plane to Tokyo. American dominance, AI dominance.
See,
You
what
say
you
it
need
enough
to
times,
do.
Spend that
it'll
money
come
on an
true,
American.
right?
That's
See,
I'm
what
gonna
you
say.
need to do is you need to kick the intellectuals out. You need to burn their books, and then you need to have them work in the countryside in the fields to bring back.
And if they wear if they wear glasses, that's how you know they're intellectuals.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Then you throw stones at birds, and then you see how that works.
Should we melt down our laptops for steel?
Yes. Thank you. Micro steel, dude. It's the wave of the future.
We're melting
We'll melt
down
it
the
down for
laptops so we
semiconductors.
can make solar
For
panels.
polysilicon, yeah.
Exactly.
For wafers.
In tiny little furnaces that we make in our backyards.
I have a
Just like, we
balcony.
just burn offerings to the god of Intel. Maybe that'll bring back the 90s.
We wanted domestic production of silicon. That's how we do it. And anything more uplifting or more encouraging to talk about other than this depressing shit?
We have a deal. There's a hint of a plan of a deal with China. That's what's up.
Yeah, what's up with our semiconductor tariff situation?
I think it'll be 25%.
I think it depends on what side of the bed he wakes up on.
That's probably true, but I just think it's gonna be. I think you should just like literally assume it's gonna
Wait,
be
did you
identical
see
to
the lettuce thing?
automotive.
Did you see the lettuce thing?
Yes, I
Oh,
have
no.
seen the lettuce thing.
Dude, so y'all know
lettuce?
about this Liz Truss thing, right? Who will last longer, Liz Truss or a head of lettuce?
Yes.
Because Liz Truss is like a British politician, I
PM,
think, or something.
Prime
right?
Minister.
Yeah.
For the
And
UK.
essentially,
Can someone explain the Liz Truss meme?
Okay, we're gonna have to like research it, but essentially
No,
she made.
it's not.
Well, you Jordan, if
I
you
got
feel,
it. I got
yeah,
it.
you got
yeah,
it.
so Liz Truss was like she had these like really terrible fiscal policies, and it was clear that she was gonna get like voted out because she was so dumb. And then there was like a Twitter, I don't know if it was like a Twitch stream or a Twitter feed of like whether a lettuce will wilt and mold before Liz Truss gets voted out of the prime ministership, and the lettuce won because she lasted like 24 days or something.
So the funny thing is, someone in our Discord has been posting every day a head of lettuce, which is decorated up, and he calls it Howard lettuce. Who will last longer, Howard lettuce or Howard Letnick? I hope the semiconductor tariffs are intelligently designed, because like they could do a lot, right?
All right,
They could do a lot of positive
let's
things. They could do a lot
imagine
of
the good
negative things.
version. Dylan, make us some good chip tariff policy.
Right. So you do increase it. If a company, and this is across all tariffs, if you import a subcomponent into the U.S. and then reship it out, you get refunded the tariffs that you paid on that subcomponent you imported into America. So this is not chips. This is anything. Anything you export out, you can get credit for on imports. And therefore that fixes a lot of the tariffs. So that this is done by some countries, it's not done by America. So that's one. That's not even semiconductor related, but that's just generally. Two, let's frame this as an electronics tariff, not just semiconductors. On this, we want to exclude tariffs on any sub materials or subcomponents again, right? So for example, consumables, right? We don't make wafer sputter targets, right? Like in America, and it would be nice to, but you don't want to increase the price or cost for countries if that exists. So, and then you also do a phasing in tariff, right? I.e., if you're saying, hey, sputter targets, we don't make those in America. Everyone just imports them. We probably should make some sputter targets in America. How about we do this? If it takes 2 years to build a sputter target factory in America, let's say in 2.5 years, this tariff will go into act. If it takes 9 months to do it, this tariff will go into effect in a year, right? So you have phasing in or rolling in of tariffs, so no one gets obliterated, but they know it's coming. And it's very clearly communicated. So you do this on all subcomponents that you can. Furthermore, you tariff final assembled goods a lot more than you tariff subcomponents and sub-assemblies, right? So for example, you tariff the shit out of iPhones, even though it's politically unpopular. Instead of excluding them, you tariff the shit out of iPhones. You give them 135% tariff in China, right? And then you give other countries 25% tariff, fine. But then for their subcomponents, right, for the display from Korea, you just don't tariff it, right? Or you tariff it at a very low rate. And so you have this waterfall of, oh yeah, you should actually you should do the assembly in America, or go through the USMCA loopholes. The other thing that I would do is I would reclassify goods. Right now, motors and robotics are considered the same classification, so no one's going to manufacture robotics in America, because if you import a motor and then you export a robotics, there's no substantial change. I can't remember the exact language. There's no substantial change, and therefore there's no exemptions on things, right? The way they're currently written. Whereas if you import a chip and then you turn it into a computer or turn it into a PCB board with a bunch of data processing unit, right? You turn it into a data processing unit or whatever. It's a substantial change, and now that solves certain tariff aspects of it. They need to do this too. They need to change these classifications for robotics versus electric motors. So I think it's generally that waterfall methodology, right? Of subcomponents get tariffed a lot less than final assembled goods. And you definitely tariff the shit out of China, but you don't tariff other countries nearly as much, because a lot of these tariffs should be just moving supply chains out of China into, Vietnam and Indonesia and Malaysia and India and and Mexico and Canada, as well as the US, right? But a lot of them, the focus should be just fuck China. It should not be fuck China, let's go America. It should be mostly just fuck China.
Yeah, the problem is.
How do you feel about the art of the deal? Do you think
I love the art of the deal, bro. People are bowing down. The art of the deal is in success.
Well, Dylan? Why do we care about assembly in America or Mexico?
Because assembly is actually not that labor intensive anymore. So here's the thing, right? When we talk about automation, we're never going to get automation of factories in America if the factory doesn't exist in America in the first place. And when they move the factory over to America, they're going to automate it a shitload more anyways. But as we move forward to this fully automated gay, lesbian communism ideal that everyone talks about in sci-fi. Also, what's up with that? Why does every sci-fi end up being communism? Fuck. Where's the capitalist sci-fi? Anyways, as you move forward towards fully automated supply chains.
To be clear,
okay,
I think it's because they stole it all from one. Everyone uses the I can't remember. It's like a culture. What is it? The something of games, player of games series.
Player of games, Ian Banks.
Yeah. They all use the Ian Banks one as the.
And that book sucked. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
I'm out.
Agreed.
I'm out on him.
Agreed, Jordan. I'm totally in it. I'm in it with you. They essentially had amazing setting, and everything else was mediocre about it. That's it. But anyway, so the Ian Banks book is what they all steal from. But yeah,
so,
dude, it's because in the future there's too many
like,
people, so they all have to be gay, bro. That's the meme. If we procreate, so you can't afford to have another child, bro. There's space resource constraints, okay? You know how expensive it is to feed a child grass-fed beef in space, bro? Infinity dollars. Just be gay instead. It's cheap.
Okay, we know how Trump, he drove the truck, he worked at McDonald's. When is he going to assemble an iPhone? Where's that photo shoot? I need that. That'll make it all better. Right?
Who says? Who says he hasn't already?
Okay. We'll put Baron on the case. Tiffany? Where's Tiffany? No one talks about Tiffany anymore.
It's like the great leader. You know, it's like when the emperor's children have been like de-emphasized, they just like disappear from the language.
You just delete the words.
Yeah. There's only one true child now. It's Baron. Oh my God, Dylan, you're typing so loud, brother.
Stop it.
Did you buy a mechanical keyboard?
Sorry, dude. I'm trying to sell Chinese textbook data to fucking AI labs.
All right, let's talk about 03. How are you feeling about 03?
It's pretty good.
Wait. Hold on. We
Okay, sorry,
finished the
tariffs.
rant right before I
Okay.
talked about why do we need assembly in America? We need assembly and not China, right? That's the main concern for me. But also, generally, we need assembly in America because supply chains have done this for a long time, right? They're less and less labor intensive and they're more and more capital intensive. And America should not be at a deficit when it comes to capital intensity. They should only be at a deficit when it comes to labor intensity, right? Because our people just make more money. And so to increase our tax base massively, we need to have all of the highly capitally intensive things happen in America, right? Because there shouldn't be a natural advantage for other countries versus America in these areas, but there is because we don't have any supply chains here. And so the main thing we need to do is we need to import 100,000 Taiwanese citizens into America and just build every fab in America, right? We need to import like 100,000 fucking Korean people and build memory in America, right? Like, this is just like exactly what needs to be done. But that's I'm Operation Paperclipping a little too hard. But generally, I think like we need to have that small set of skilled labor operating massively capitally intensive factories because if you look at the labor cost of say an Intel fab or a TSMC fab, it's fucking minuscule, right? Actually, for a gigafab, i.e. a fab that makes over 100,000 wafers a month, right? There's only a handful of those in the world. Power costs just as much as the people. And power costs twice as much in Taiwan. And yet, and so for all intents and purposes, a fab should actually be cheaper in America, but we have supply chain issues with gas delivery and tool delivery and tool installs and all these other things, right? And it's like, this is the problem, because otherwise, a $100 billion fab has like 10,000 people working in it, bro. That's nothing. Right? And it's not about the labor, it's not about the jobs, it's the fact that it's here in America and it's now contributing to the tax base, right? And like fabs are an example of like ridiculous capital intensity for very, very low labor. And yes, that labor is intelligent and like is like very good, but we could just import them, like come on. Like, we should fix the trade deficit by having a larger talent deficit. A trade deficit there or something like that. But anyways, these highly capital intensive aspects of society are really, really something America should have and we don't, is basically the simple of it, right? Like we should be building $100 billion factories like TSMC is in America, eventually, hopefully, knock on wood. And the same should happen across all these supply chains. Now, fabs are extreme, but assembly is going to get there. A lot of manufacturing is going to get there because of robotics really hitting its golden age. Which is why SemiAnalysis is like, got multiple people committed to working on robotics now. There's like a lot of stuff that robotics and AI are going to do that makes things even more capital intensive and even less labor intensive. The magic and the proof of it is in the pudding, right? You look at 03, right? 03 is just so freaking good. I did the segue for you, Jordan. Go ahead.
Thank you. Why is 03 so good, Dylan?
I think it's about the tool use. Honestly, it rules.
What do you mean the tool use?
It's better at tool use than 03 Mini, 03 Mini High were, and specifically, it's really good at. It's like actually natively multimodal. I think the model is good. I'm not like, wow, this is so much. Like, I definitely can feel whatever big model feel or whatever. It's better than 2.5 for sure. But I think the thing that makes it really sick is you can just drop all kinds of shit in it, and it'll just do its job. That's like the real.
Wait, interesting, because
you couldn't.
I was
put
talking
photos.
to one of the people at OpenAI, And I was like, why is O4 mini better than O3 at this one specific thing? And he's like, well, that's because the multimodality support on O3 is mid. The multimodality support on O4 is like really, really good. And then he was like, I always find it weird using the mini models because they're like little autistic children. And I'm like, whoa. But that's because the mini models are very small. The regular models are still quite small, right? You have to recognize it's 4.1 based. 4.1 is like very small, 4.0 based, right? Those are very small. Those are like relatively small models, right? Roughly the size of DeepSeek V3, a little bit smaller actually. But anyways, I think O3 is like impressive because there is some multimodality. The reasoning is really important. I think it's much smarter, actually, Doug. I think it's not just a little bit smarter. I think O3 is much smarter than O1 and Pro and O3 Mini. And I think that like it's generalizing a lot better across different tasks. But O3 is still not that generalizing that well. I think it is generalizing a lot better across many tasks.
When do we start to worry about Anthropic?
We should already worry for Anthropic. They've greenwashed AI safety.
No, dude, Anthropic is fine. They're gonna be fine. They're gonna ship Claude 4 in like a month or whatever. It's gonna be fire.
Okay. I saw they did like a Gmail integration. Like, what is Google doing?
Yeah, I would screw around with a freaking Gmail integration most. Truly.
What does that Gmail integration do, actually?
It reads your Gmail, bro.
Yeah, I asked it to. It didn't do a good job. I was
Ugh.
like, tell me what BD leads I've forgotten to follow up on, and it like brought me spam. It was kind of a letdown, actually.
Sadness.
Yeah.
Sadness. Anything else?
Can we get Nebius to sponsor Transistor Radio?
Sure.
Who's gonna want to sponsor this like random Zoom call shit?
Nebius.
All right, we'll see. Whoever makes it 37 minutes into this.
Yeah, if you want to have an ad spot, it would start right here. And it would be 4 of the brightest minds in semiconductor AI in China. And we would all extol your virtues for the low cost of $1 million.
Yeah. Dylan will even give you his Texan
All
accent
right, guys,
for free.
I think this episode is too coherent. We're done with this darn tootin' podcast. It's a little too coherent for me. I'm out.
Did we-
Adios, partners. Adios, amigo.
Oh my god. We're literally getting pieced. I mean, to be clear, I gotta go do
Really though, I gotta go.
Okay. All right.
Is there anything else?
EM. We did EM. Did
Yeah,
we do EM?
okay.
What's
yeah,
our
we're
recession
done.
watch?
We're
No,
done.
like I literally gotta hop now.